If you're not a fan of college football, you're missing out. I mean it, you're really not living your best life. This weekend, the punters went absolutely hog wild, and admittedly, it had been a slow year for punting in college, but it looks like they were just saving it up for one crazy weekend. So without further ado, let me take you to the most mild of the insanity, which is Navy taking on Air Force, where the Navy punter says, "We do not need to install any new torpedo launchers. My leg can get the job done," setting off a 67-yard missile that goes past the line of scrimmage in the air, landing on the one, but unfortunately bounces through the end zone. Not all bounces this weekend were going to go the wrong way though, as Missouri's Luke Bauer used leg power. That was probably a little shorter than he needed to, but as he filled in this Wheel of Fortune puzzle for luck be in the air tonight, our friend who was supposed to catch that ball filled it in a much different way. But life goes on, because not everybody was going to get lucky in that specific way, but it doesn't mean it's not impressive, as Evans was taking on Rutgers, and he had a hell of a day, with one of his punts launching far enough that he's about to get a couple letters from an eclectic group of Middle Eastern countries in regards to his ability to do what he did to that ball to actual missiles, going 67 yards past the line of scrimmage, but unfortunately the end zone was only 66 yards away. But he wasn't done there for the night, as he's gonna flip the script like a real showboater, go in the other direction 70 yards from the end zone. He thinks, surely there's no way I can hit a second touchback from here, and while it's unlucky that his balls had enough bounce to find its way into the end zone, it's even more insane the fact that he hit a 66 and a 70-yarder in the same game. But this was not the only 70-yarder hit this weekend, as Texas Tech was taking on BYU. We had probably the two most draftable punters of this class facing off, and boy howdy did they come to prove it when Ryan Rico smashed a punt, by far the longest punt of the night, in the air, as it traveled every single bit of 71 yards in the air off his foot, meaning it was close to 83 yards from where he kicked it, which is nuts, even if it does give up a bit of a return. But 70 wasn't the longest punt in general this weekend, as I take you to the big brother of the Big Ten. And no, I don't mean big brother like spying on everybody. That title goes to Michigan. I mean Ohio State, who comes out with their punter Jesse Mirko, whose leg is anything but micro, as he rolls out, launches one, then after deliberating for a minute, the returner decides this ball is better in the hands of fate, which turns out fate is quite a bitch, punishing him by rewarding Jesse with a 74-yard punt as it takes a beautiful roll, absolutely changing the field position, as Penn State is now starting inside where they would be on a touchback from a kickoff after just fording the punt from the back of the end zone. But 74-yard punts were in surprisingly high demand, as Marshall's punter was backed up thanks to the effort of a James Madison punter, which got its own video, by the way, go check it out. And he says, "Our offense couldn't seem to throw the ball into the ocean, so I'll have to take it into my own hands," which, holy shit, does he ever. Sending that ball so far, the returner's tripping up over himself trying to get to it, but because nothing can ever go too well for Marshall, one of his own players stops that ball prematurely at 74 yards, which will bring us to punt 3 of 74 yards. Tennessee's punter says, "Do you know the only 10 I see? It's the one on the opposite end of the field," as he nukes it, trying to hit it back there, but McKinstry wants nothing to do with his masterful punt, so he makes like my dad and dodges all responsibility with my upbringing, letting this ball become a menace to society inside the 2-yard line. And one that there's not a video of was a sick 79-yard punt by NAIU's punter, but unfortunately there's no footage for it. But a hell of a weekend for the punters of America.